Okay. Looks like we should be going right about now. Uh, where's the little chat pop up? Should have. Uh, okay, let me troubleshoot for a second. Giving me something went wrong. Not sure. It's like. For a second. Okay, that's working. Okay. Let's see. Looks like the stream itself is functional. I just don't have my OBS chat pop up for whatever reason. Oh well, I'll pull the chat up on my second browser, and we will get to it. Might be a little delayed because of that, but okay. So, glad you are all here. Today's episode live stream is going to be all about designing some new well, I just got thrown off guard by chicken dance. Okay. This live stream is all going to be about creating some custom content for the system and sort of my design process. I've got a couple of things I've pre-prepared. I don't know if we're going to get to all of them today, but what I have, I at least want to get through one ego, one enemy, and one abnormality. Steam Transport Machine is not quite going to have out no fight yet, but that will probably come at a later date. Right now I'm just doing the ego because it is relevant and sick as hell. Okay. So, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask in the chat, and I am going to run through my design process. I'm going to turn down the volume so I can focus. Okay. So, Crushbound passed. As we can see, if we bring up the wiki, and sorry, I do not have an ad block. Let me expand this. Okay, hopefully that does not screw up the scale. Alright, you get cooking ads on the side. Whatever. So, we have Crushbound passed. All these different effects we are going to need to trim down. But one of the main differences you might note is I am making this a he, or hey, whatever you want to say. It is that tier instead of the Vav that it is shown in Merceau's ego. Part of that is because it's closer to the original Abnormalities ranking, but also because of a design principle I want to do with this, which is using it multiple times. And that is not really something that we can do with a Vav ego, because by the time you manage to get a second one out, the fight might already be over, unless you're playing like an egoist or something. So, let's do cost 3, I think that is good. However, I do think 14 is a pretty typical range for key egos, I believe. However, let me just double check that, because I don't remember what I copied this space from. Okay, no, keys generally... Gotta remember my own system sometime. Yeah, I mean, anywhere between like 10 to 14 for keys. So let's do... I think since I want this to be used multiple times, just 10 emotion points. Which means that at base, this will be a bit bigger than the normal 3-cost skill, but not tremendously powerful. However, we have the notes here. We have Tremor and Empowerment based on time. I usually don't even write down notes, but it can be useful for some of you, and I figured I'd pre-prepare a little bit. But I think I'm gonna delete this, and I did not grab... Okay, to Lunartique's document. Because I want to grab... Oh, let's not dox my files. I want to grab images, icons, where status effects should be. Oh, I will have to actually go to general to get the individual ones, and then if I... Is that? No, that's... Wait, what is it? Oh, no, that is the proper... Boom! So, Lunartique's doc is very useful for this sort of thing. Yep, shout out to Lunartique. So, drag that in there. Squeeze it down. Originally I copied from the wiki, which was not good, so that's why you might notice some of the stuff like burn is very low quality. But let's do special status accumulated past. We are going to decide that this is absolutely nothing. Does nothing. But what we're going to do is we are going to accumulate this from the passive, and then when we use this again, for every turn that we didn't use it, we will have gathered accumulated past, and we will spend that all to make the ego a lot stronger next time. Yes, I don't know exactly where you can find the link for Lunartique's doc, but it is extremely useful and not too hard to find. In fact, they might have it linked in the Limbus Reddit. I'm not sure. They have a lot of resources there. Back. Oh, many themes of oops. Brush down. And then we are going to get to the passive. Let's just name it metronome, since I think that fits part of what we want to do. So we will have the normal metronome effect up here somewhere, but also, in addition, in special status end of each scene. Boom. There we go. Is this as small as it'll... Yeah. Okay. So, I think just to start out, on use, spend all past to all dice on its skill power equal to accumulated past spent. And when I'm putting in these little symbols, if it's like the same line, so like this is all one line, I will only use it once. However, once a new line starts, I will use it again if I reference it again. Then, make the accumulated past passive increase damage for dice with Tremor Burst. That is an interesting idea, but I'm not sure, because the intent is for it just to be a tracking thing. But I will keep that in mind. Maybe I will make it more than just power at some point, but okay. Let's grab I have one here. Dice for this. change that to blunt. Now the question is, I do think I want 4 dice. Shouldn't you cap it? That is an interesting question. Normally, I would cap the amount of accumulated past you can get. However, it builds up extremely slowly, and by the time you get to crazy levels, the fight will already be over. Keep in mind you have to use this at least once just to get it going. So, I don't think I need to cap it. If you can get it to +10, all for it, man. That is an achievement in itself. So, let's see. Yeah, 1 die for each light on the arm. Yeah. So, dice values. Let's see. A typical base of 3 range. There's no 4 die bases. But we can consider, yeah, even like full assault is all mostly d8s. Of course, you would be including the potential modules you would put on this sort of thing, so the actual value we should scale it at would be higher, but we obviously want this to be a bit more than a regular skill. So let's say, yeah, d8s seem good. Yeah, good, but yeah, large but flavorful cap could be good. Yeah, screw it. Let's do max 12. Because at that point, it's still insane. Times... Not entirely sure what you're talking about there with... I think you're talking about making like an extra keyword or something, which could be an interesting thought, but I'm not sure if that's exactly what I want to do right now. Yeah, no cap is fun, but I think I like having the flavor, because it's essentially the same. Okay, so, let's see. On this version, yeah, Tremor Burst only occurs on the last coin. I think I want to keep that, because too many Tremor Bursts can get out of hand. In terms of how much Tremor this should inflict, Tremor doesn't need a lot of infliction and can get out of hand fast. Oh, wait. I just realized. I did not give this attack weight. I'm not sure. I think an attack weight of like 3 is good, because it is a huge fist if you're going by Merceau's version. So I think some attack weight would be good. Don't want to make it like the 9 attack weight that it has in Limbus, but... bit of attack weight there, just to make sure it's thematic with the size, and that will also let us get away with not really adding any like crazy effects to this. Yeah, attack weight on a damage scaling ego can definitely be a little troublesome, but I think as long as we keep the effects down, it should be fine. So I think I don't need to do on hit, it's just hit for this. Inflict, 2 Tremor. This way it's a good Tremor spreading ego, but it's not going all crazy. Oh, trigger... Oh, need a hit there. Tremor burst. Boom. Just copy them from wherever I can grab them. Yeah, I did consider scaling Tremor to accumulated past, but I'm not... No, this does not need to be capitalized. But I think that's a good balance of keeping it contained without going crazy. However, since this is an attack by ego, I am going to bump up the emotion point cost slightly. Yeah. And another idea I had for this before I was going to go into it would be like just one hit, but you get to re-roll it based on some effects, and if you got max, it could do crazy crit effects. That could be a good idea for like an alternate version of it or something. Maybe I'll reuse that idea for another ego in the future. Whatever. So. But this tremor boosting effect I think is good because it essentially is 1 per, but it's split between the different dice. Okay. So, I should probably talk a bit more about why I'm doing everything I'm doing. So I talked about why it's a he. I talked a little bit about the costs. Actually, now I'm wondering if I do want to keep it at 3, because it is attack weight. Are there Q&A streams too? Not yet. Not regular, at least, but the Discord is always open. We have a questions section and a feedback section. So either I or one of the community members can answer your questions when needed. Maybe I'll do some more design streams in the future when I can talk about that. Okay. Yeah, so a few things to consider when making egos and stuff like this is what kind of fantasy are you going for? And I know that sounds a little weird, but like right now we are doing the giant fists hitting you a bunch of times is the idea of the attack. So how are you going to fulfill that fantasy, make it cool? That's sort of a thing with designing anything. From character design to designing like a class in an RPG or whatever. What fantasy are you trying to fulfill? Who is this for? And what will make them satisfied? And so this whole thing meant to get really big at a certain point. It's meant to scale up, meant to increase over time, and let you build up to one big attack that just absolutely kills everyone. That's what we're kind of trying to get at here. And obviously there's the abnormalities effects. If you have, you know, the ego on the wiki for the game, you can obviously look through all of that, figure out what works, what doesn't, what the main idea is. Sometimes I'll try and take it as one-to-one as possible, other times I'll reinterpret a lot of the ideas. Like, with, where is it? Everlasting, I think it's down here. Yeah. Instead of the multiple bursts that it normally does, I just added it as a bunch of tremor infliction. And also replaced the everlasting effect with time moratorium. So, very different idea of what it does, but still going into the basics of, like, its time manipulation, its tremor, its, you know, really powerful single target, all that. So, and then, let's see. Yeah, so I think because this thing can scale pretty crazily and it's already an attack weight ego, I don't think we need to add many more effects to this. Obviously this has like the weird amplitude entanglement thing. So, yeah, I don't think we need any of that. Now we have to finish the passive, because I do want to get the original passive here. Problem is, if we go to this passive, I don't have damage up in this system. And I could make it just a passive effect of, like, on odd-numbered turns, you do 1 more damage, but I'm not sure I really want that, since the other option would still be giving protection. There is also the idea of it could be like strength and endurance. That could be an idea. It's a little powerful, but there are also some other pretty powerful effects, like, where is it? I thought it was... No, it's... Yeah. Like, this is a pretty powerful effect. I'm no stranger to making pretty powerful ego effects. But that's generally on simpler stuff that isn't like super overwhelming, but that you might want to use because of the passive. Does that make sense? But in general, ego passives can kind of be all over the place. Some are more important than others. Yeah. So, strength and endurance might be a bit much. Let's just kind of start writing it and figure out what we want. Oh, what are you doing? Ah! At the start. Even numbered. Yeah. Game. Okay. Odd turns giving a bit of aggro and even turns be faster. Maybe. Inflicting fragile. I think I'd prefer it being more of a buff. Original Amno gives poise. Poise is also quite strong, though. But 1 poise every turn, that is or every other turn, that is a good effect. But it's not like, I would say, super crazy. While the passive does activate after the skill is used, it will still be active by the time the scene ends. So yes, you do get it the first time. You just don't start with 1 pass until the scene ends. That makes sense? Yeah. Poise is definitely a weird one to balance. I think I'm gonna do strength and endurance for now. I think that's... Strength? I can just copy the whole thing. Okay, and this art is causing trouble. Let me move it, actually. fixed position on page. And let me... That way I can get it closer to here. And by the way, whenever a line, like, ends with a icon, I don't add a period at the end. However, whenever there is a continuation, I do add a period after the skill or status icon. Just a little formatting thing for anyone who likes that stuff. I'm kinda actually thinking of doing this. If I revert it to what it was before. I think if I... Yeah, I don't normally do this, but I want this art to be big enough to be imposing. And it's just good use of space, really. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with this. It's not like other ego passives don't give +1 power to stuff. It's strong, but I wouldn't say it's overwhelmingly so. Yeah, still a little torn. Maybe I will stack some fragile on top too, because that's what the Abno does. Because I don't want to make you weaker at points. I can see some of you suggesting, like, on the endurance turns, give feeble, but I don't think I really want that. I think just some fragile is enough. Just one fragile. I think that'll make it noticeable, but not super overwhelming. Yeah, we kinda keep boosting this up in power. I still want it to be fairly cheap in emotion point costs, but I do think it's kind of earned a 4 light cost at this point. Yeah. Egos, I don't really have a strong system of how balanced should it be. But I think we're more or less good on this one. It hits all the boxes I wanted. It's strong, but not, I don't think, overbearing. There are definitely some ego in the system that need rebalancing, particularly you. Well, yeah, probably you. Recommendation for emotion point cost. Yeah, very much depends, but I definitely have, like, some ranges you can find just by looking at stuff. Like, Teth, usually anywhere between, like, 9 to 12 if it's, like, really high. Keys are, like, 10 to, like, 14 or so. Vob's more of, like, probably 14 to 18, I think. And then, like, Alepht's usually 20 or above. But generally, I would say, like, attack weight usually costs a bit more emotion points, as well as a bit more light. Yeah. thematically fitting numbers are hard to work with. Alright. So I think that's good. So, I think now, let's move on to a pretty simple enemy. This is just going to be, you know, for your first few sessions, if you are running in T-Corp, or an area that's aesthetically similar to T-Corp, you could use these guys. So, I have set them to some of their stuff, but let's look over the rest. So, HP, these guys will be fought at level 1, so they should have similar HP to a level 1 character. Do I have general guidelines in mind for designing Ego? Not too much. I generally look at, you know, what the purpose of the original Ego is and what the purpose of the original abnormality is. See if that'll work in the system, or if I need to change some things. See if there's any, like, opportunities I can do to make it a little more interesting, like Pursuance is a revival Ego. So, and then in terms of balance, that's a lot harder. I've barely played this system at all, unfortunately, which I hope to fix fairly soon. But until then, I'm mostly just doing what sounds right. My timeline for adding new fights for Abnos with Ego but no encounter is whenever I feel like it, unfortunately. That's been something that's bugging me, but a lot of Abnos really are weird to design in this system, as we are going to get to with this guy. So, for HP on this guy, I normally try and do 10s, but I think 35 is a good HP value, just because baseline, well, I could do 40 actually. Baseline is 30, but it's actually 40 because everyone has at least one might. So you generally want to have your enemies with a little less HP than your players are expected to, because players have to go through multiple fights. For Rupture, I generally do, Fragile for Rupture, that, or what else do I usually do? I feel like I had another effect that I used for a lot of Rupture stuff, but it's not coming to me. Yeah, Fragile for Rupture most of the time, but a lot of old Rupture Ego are plant-based, so I often use Thorns as well as a replacement. Yeah. Yeah, like Ebony Stem has a lot of Thorns, Fragile, and Bind. Because it's kind of thematic with a lot of what a lot of Rupture Egos do. But enemies are a bit harder, generally just Fragile, since they don't really tend to fit Thorns very well. But you can kind of see that in, where is it? 7 Association. They have, like, all these crit effects, all these Fragiles, and the ability to, you know, exploit weaknesses, which is Rupture's whole thing. So, with this guy, yeah, I think we can go up to 40 health. It won't be disastrous to have that extra 5. And for Stagger Resist, these guys are pretty bulky as well, so Yeah, base 20. I usually keep it around, you know, half of hit points, give or take. Though I'm not sure exactly how well that works in practice. It might be too much, might be too little. I will find out at some point. Light, I'm thinking just 3. These guys, they're not the type I would thematically give more light. Same with, actually, D4s. You get to be slower than the normal minimum. Get slowed. Speaking of slowness, let's do these first. Honestly, I probably could exaggerate a lot of the damage affinities for enemies, give them weaker weaknesses and stronger defenses, but I'm still figuring this out myself as I design. What? Where? No. Where are these guys? Again, what are they? There we go. They're weak to blunt, slightly endure pierce. So let's do +1 +1/+2. Sounds good. And then just a -1 there. And since they're weak canard enemies, that looks good. Yeah, they're running low on time, which I'm gonna give them a passive. Can't keep up. This unit's offensive dice lose. They're low level. Just 1 is going to make a difference. Lose 1 power against evade dice. So this is basically like they're running a bit slow. They've mostly managed to fight well because of that, but they're weak to being dodged. That makes sense? Okay. And I don't think... What are your passives? None. You have no passives in the game. Okay, fair enough. Make them weaker for every turn that passes? Maybe. I'm just trying to figure... Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. Maybe I'll come back to this. So, when designing skill sets, and this is a part of the video you're gonna want to take note of, I've kind of made a vague list of what advantages the players have and what advantages the enemies have. So players will have enemies declare their skills first. Players will also have a lot more versatility in their movesets. They'll be, you know, custom made for a strategy. They have a lot more skill slots at later levels. Most enemies have a max of 6, unless you really want to give a boss some big gimmicks. Players will also be a bit tankier, since, like I said, they need to survive multiple encounters. Players also have ego on their sides. Most enemies do not have that sort of comeback mechanic. However, enemies should have a few advantages of their own. Firstly, players will have to discover the effects of their skills after the first use. Starting off, they'll have to kind of guess based on the skill names. And speaking of skills, enemy skills I generally design to have slightly bigger numbers than the enemy players, since, you know, players have ego, they have those big attacks, they have those strong strategies that are meant to work against anything. So, Making enemies a bit more of a threat early on in the fight is a very good, way to make them seem a little menacing without being overwhelming. NPCs will also, generally, unless there's some story reason they're all mixed up, will generally be on the same team and using a lot of the same gimmicks, so that might help them. Also, this doesn't apply for these T-Corp goons, but bigger enemies will also usually have some attack weight on their normal skills, instead of the players, which will need ego. I have been thinking of adding some attack weights special skills to the guide, but I'm still working on exactly how I want to do that. But there will be some limitations, but I do think I will experiment with it. Anyway, was that all looking at my list? Yeah, pretty much. So, there are some other, smaller things, but this is the basic idea of, how I think of it when I balance. So, enemies basically do whatever you want, just make sure it feels good to fight against, and it contributes to some core idea of how the fight is meant to go. So, let's see. Oi Oi. Paralyze, Tremor, yeah. So these guys hit people, give them Tremor, and then use that Tremor to debuff them, stagger them, and get an opening. They're opportunists. So, let's see. First, probably Oi Oi. Just make this a cost 1. Oi! Oh. My stupid mouse is being weird. I need to replace it with a new one. Oi Oi! Let's put this in quotes. Make it fun. You have to do the accent as a DM, by the way. It is mandatory. This is a blunt skill, yeah, because it's a wrench. 1 cost, I believe the 1 cost base is 1+2. Now I know I did just say, oh, I forgot to do this today. Oh, there we go. Just a little bit. There you go. I don't know if any of you noticed I've been doing that or not. Just every now and then when I feel like it, just give Ezra a little more height. She deserves it. What was I grabbing? Got distracted by Ezra. Oh yeah. Looking at the 1 costs 1 die base. Oh, it's 1d8 plus 3, that's right. Plus 2 was what I started with. And I decided it was a little too weak. 1d8. Yeah, we'll do 1d8 plus 3. Keep it in line with the base. But check. Power plus 2 if target has any peril. And where is paralyzed? We're gonna find some. Here we go, paralyze. Yeah, but paralyze. I seem to be struck by you. And then hit. We can give these guys more tremor than normal. Inflict. Just 2 tremor. That's a paralyzer tremor. I am all over the place, if you guys could not tell. Neurodivergent brain be going. Where it's going, nobody knows, but it's going somewhere. Do I want to give this any on-use effects? The only on-use effect it has here is the paralyzed check. Um... What effect would I give it? It's like... I don't think I want these guys to have aggro, because I usually don't put aggro on little guys. Why are you... You are totally the wrong size. Yeah, some of these were copied from places where they got a little messed up format-wise. Throws me off sometimes. So... Don't want to... They are meant to be a little bulkier, but I'm not sure if I want to give them protection. Oh, bind. Bind could be good. But I already gave it tremor on it. I'll probably give them bind somewhere else. I'd say after damage is dealt, just so exploits and stuff can properly work. Generally, when I consider those like die rolling effects, I consider it to happen after that die is completely gone through. Yeah, check does also happen before hit. I might put a clarification on the order of operations with that. But yeah, that is something I've noticed with Bleed, is it's a little unclear how it happens with that sort of thing, so I'll probably go, like, touch that up at some point, the description for it. But that will not be tonight, because I'm focused more on this. I saw one that I kind of liked. Honestly, bonus doubler, if I made it so it doubled... No, because... Oh, counterplay. No, because it already has a check. Yeah, I think it's just good. It is, like, first encounter sort of guy, so I will leave it be. Now then, this'll sting. Yeah, so this is its paralyzing applier. So, let's call this his 2 cost. This'll sting. And let's... So 2 cost would be... Yeah, let's do like the 8, 1d8, 1d8 plus 1. Let's make this one slash so they're not completely monoblock. So like he's doing like a sideways slash with the wrench. Maybe it has like a little blade on it or something. Then he goes in for the big like upper-handed hit. Okay. That's not a terrible way to do checks and exploits, but that also isn't the intended way to do it, so I should probably clarify that. Okay, so... Actually... If I do... I am giving this paralyzed, so I think I want to have it be smaller. Hit, inflict, paralyze. Paralyzes tetanus. Ah, fun. Hit. Inflict. 2. Tremor. Labubu ego. I'd have to make a Labubu abnormality first. Just a bunch of them. I don't know too much about that. I know they're like these little ugly dolls and stuff. So, yeah, that. That's the one I do bind, though. What if? The Boo Boo is Army in black reskin. Purple. Yeah, I think making it chance-based is fine. I might give them another source of paralyze, though. No, that would be lose, right? Because dice is plural. This, however. Dice is the plural, right? I haven't been, like, messing this up this whole time. Clash Windbind, yeah, actually. You were right. That is a good idea. I had forgotten about Clash Wind. How could I do that? And time for the 3 cost. Do I want to do 3 cost, actually? No, because with only 3 light, you're not going to be able to really save up anything. You'd have to use the 0 cost a lot, which you can't really do. So let's keep this as a 2 cost, and just make it still a big 2 cost. Oh, hello, Green Mage! I saw that you were doing your own Project Moon tabletop stuff. I haven't seen much of that system you're using, but looks neat. Yeah, dice is plural, die is singular. That's what I thought. So I think found a gap. Let's have that be 1. Hit. Trigger Tremor first. How do enemies select skills? So, it depends on who's attacking who first. Well, do you mean how do they declare which skills they're using, or how do you design enemy skills? Because those are 2 very different answers. But in terms of how enemies design skills, you design them basically however you think works. Generally, I make them a bit stronger than player skills, for a couple of reasons I listed previously. But generally, you can do whatever the hell you want. Declare skills? Okay. Declare skills is... So, either the enemy attacks the player, in which case they say which skill they're using and who they're attacking, and the player responds. However, if a player attacks the enemy still chooses first. So you just, as a player, say, I'm targeting this person. The DM gives you the response of what skill they're deciding to use, and then you decide your skill so you can adapt to that. And that way, it sort of mimics the way how in Ruina or in Limbus, you get all the skills laid out in a turn, because I didn't want to do that in a TTRPG, because that is not fun to lay out. I know some TTRPGs do that, but with this system having like multiple people at once, it can get a little crazy. Yep. Yeah, I did know there were a few other Project Moon tabletop RPGs at the time. I think I started at around the same time that Cinephon made his campaign start. I intentionally ignored it for a little bit so I didn't cross-contaminate my ideas or accidentally plagiarize or anything. But I do at least am aware of the other stuff. I just haven't done much of a deep dive. But, enemy skill declaration is definitely a little funky, but... when it comes to deciding which skill to use at all, I think that's up to the GM's decision. Yeah, I don't think it's a super great idea to randomize it unless you're using, like, a mindless creature like a Pekatula or something. Just because, you know, enemies will be using strategy. Most enemies you're fighting will either be humans, who are, you know, intelligent creatures. They can make their own decisions, observe the battlefield, so unless they're meant to be really stupid, they'll be using what they think is most effective. As long as it's fun. Like, I know a lot of the best ideas might be, you know, to just throw out your big skills first, focus down one enemy. Obviously, you still want to keep it fun, so doing that might not always be the most fun, but generally, the enemies should be intimidating and use strategy. But like I said, Pekatula or other mindless creatures like crabs, you could do it randomly. Oh, glad to hear I inspired your video. Yeah, I was really hoping that I could, you know, get things started on the Project Moon TTRPG scene, because I'd seen some other stuff, but it generally wasn't very accessible or really, like, you know, promoted. You had to really go out of your way to find it most of the time. So I really did want my videos to be something you could jump into with very little knowledge beforehand and figure things out. So, hope things go well with your stuff as well. Always good to have more friends on the scene. So, let's get back to designing. No more mushy stuff. What just happened with the music there? Oh, it's because it's only 35 seconds, and it just decided to play again for some reason. Okay. Shuffling is weird. I'm using Roll20 because I don't have a YouTube Premium or an ad blocker. Anyway. think, yeah, a unique tremor calculation for this would be fun. And let's actually recalculate the strength of this. Strong strike, 1d10 plus 5. Yeah, that's fine. Can be beaten by these smaller skills, but will generally be pretty successful. Actually, more consistent but lower, or higher, yeah, lower ceiling. Okay. That could be a good option. Let's do after use. Oh, yeah, it does reuse the coin. Look at that. I did not notice for some reason. Let's do... Let's instead, I think, because this would essentially be them stealing your time. I think that's a little more flavorful. And also, I don't like reuse die effects too often. There's very specific scenarios in which I do use them. But... Oh, yeah! I have a tag for that. Duh. I forgot about the on-stagger tag. I should use that more. I think it's on stagger, right? Is it on stagger or just stagger? I think it's on stagger, because the other one is on kill. Yeah, on stagger. And then, we need a 0 cost. And this one is going to use... Oh, hello, Cinephon. Good to have you here. Oh, why? We were just talking about you a few minutes ago. How, I'd seen your, stuff floating around the same time I started my system, but I intentionally avoided it for a while, because I didn't want to cross-contaminate too much. Wanted to keep things to my ideas starting off, and then get inspiration from elsewhere. And so it's been fun going through your campaign. Pretty slowly, but... What's like a British exclamation? Crikey is Australian. Oh, shite, yeah. Blimey is also good. Beanclaw. That's so funny. I think Blimey, yeah. Cost 0. Clash, win. Tremor or bind? I think bind is kind of them stealing time, so I think for just a block, tremor. Clicked 1. Tremor. And a D8 honestly seems fine. It's slightly stronger than the base, but weaker than you would actually expect on a player's skill. And yeah, they just have normal guard. Yeah, these guys are not meant to be too particularly interesting. They are a basic, you know, tier 1 enemy. You fight them first few sessions. Yeah, in T-Corp your accent changes based on your money. No one knows why. It's not an intentional invention or anything. It just happens. Just the way of the universe. The T-Corp time protocol is classist. Not like in a systematic way, it just itself has very strong opinions on economic situations of its residents. This is a weird joke. What are we doing? Anyway. Okay. Honestly, yeah, I think this is good. He's not meant to be too particularly strong or anything. Okay. So, I need to go stretch my legs, grab a drink of water, stuff like that. We will reconvene in about 10 minutes. Let me... Water. Be back soon. Ah, what? This mouse is being weird in ways I do not understand a mouse being, if that makes sense. Okay. I will be back in about 10 minutes. See you then. Okay. uh, yeah. To answer your question, Eric, um, most of what I make for the system, especially in terms of player options. Ooh, sorry. Ran up the stairs, got a little winded. Need to exercise more. Most of what I make for the system is designed to be usable in a lot of different ways, represent a lot of different things. So, like, not everything needs to be directly designed after certain stuff from the lore, but rather, when you're adding something from the lore, figure out how you can represent that with the modules and stuff presented. That said, there are a few modules that are unique skills that are meant to sort of be more close to, like, HP Ampule is K-Corp Singularity. Doesn't always have to actually be an HP Ampule, but that's kind of the intended theme. And also, Emergency Time Stop, that's obviously very T-Corp themed. Yeah, so Fey Lantern honestly is going to be a little annoying. That is intended. But but let's get to that. So, for Abnos, a lot of the passives will determine the gimmicks of the fight. So we are going to do some of the passives first. So, first off, Yep, we are bringing in Charmed. Windows assets. Images. Icons. Oh, yeah, stats effects. General. B. C. B. C. Charmed. Charmed, I'm sure. Yeah, so Charmed, it is going to be annoying. There is no way around it. In fact, I might make it a little more annoying than the base. So, you know what? This isn't going to be a stats, because it's going to be applied directly to speed dice. You know what? So what I'm thinking of doing with this is making it even more than in Limbus, where it basically just takes your turn away. I'm thinking of doing like a full mind control thing. Like Charmed in most RPGs. It's a little outside of the Abnormality's normal theming, I know. But I think it works as a battle mechanic, because just taking it away would not be fun. So having the participant actually continue to do something, even if that something is fighting their allies, is good. I do understand that this is a test. Yes, it is a bit out of theme. I fully understand, but it applies to only one die. That's something I want to make clear. But this is more for the purposes of making this a bit more interesting. It will still absolutely have blurring stuff. But yeah. I have had to make some changes to other things, but if any of you have other ideas, I'm cool. But this is what I think would be something that, you know, works. Yeah. But yeah, most players would only have one speed die, though I'm thinking, yeah, the fact that it's a Teth 3 is still just really weird. This definitely feels like more of at least a Teth 4. Just, the classification is still weird because it also takes into account, as we've seen in Night of Despair's log, it takes into account how easy it is for it to breach. So, like, I haven't encountered Meat Lantern originally. Yeah, I could do it something closer to Limbus, because I don't like breaking speed dice, but also I want to make sure they still have, you know, agency. Because even if I do say, like, oh, it's using this skill, it's still not allowing... Yeah. Yeah, I don't... Yeah, this was always gonna be a tough one. It's more so that I want this guy to be very gimmicky, and so just, like, reducing power or something does not feel like it has the same impact as going into the fight and seeing that your sinners are charmed and that you have lost control over them. That is something I really want to, you know, keep as its core element. Could prioritize players with more speed dice. Declares first, then declares after. That could work. Yeah, let's... Oh! No, because, I was gonna say I could make them use random skills, but that also... Yeah, this was always gonna be a tough one, and that's kind of part of why I wanted to do it this stream, because abnos are always weird to figure out, and... going through the process with you guys was gonna help me, and it was gonna help you. So... yeah, reversing declare order could be one thing. Reverse. Reverse. Normal. that. In that case, I probably will apply it to multiple people. Maybe make it apply to multiple on a tie, because I want it to be, like, the slowest skills. Oh. Okay, I see. Yeah. Die. This is a big effect. I might need to copy this so it doesn't get lost when I merge. Yeah. I mean, keep in mind, this is Fey Lantern Fairy. There is also Fey Lantern Roots. So only like half the fight is going to be against this form. So I do kind of like this. I think you guys have kind of brought me around to this instead. It's a little more complicated, but I think it works. I might have to reword it once or twice for clarification, but... Does this look good? I think I'm liking this. So, I think considering this thing's only gonna be out for 1 or 2 scenes before it gets knocked back down and we switch to the roots, that's fine. Speaking of roots, oh, well, first I have to... That's a good wording. How do I... My mouse is being... That... pasted with formatting. Yeah, I think I like that, JJJ. Thank you very much. Yeah, a lot of those weird wording things are what keeps me from doing a lot of gimmicks. Just because it takes so long to figure out how to word that stuff. But that's why I'm doing this here. So that you guys can learn with me, and we can both get better. So this basically means, like, Gebera's, the strongest effect, where she gets the infinity speed dice. It's like the same thing if they're all the same value. It applies to all of them instead of choosing just one. That makes sense? Okay. So I do think I want to just end the scene, because I think things get a little weird when you have a scene without any enemies. So just immediately skipping to next scene and regenerating everything, all that, I think is the best option. Okay. And I think I'll actually take away the Abno-Drops passive. Yeah, there are so many plant abnormalities. It's crazy. Crazy. Like, part of that, I think, is the rupture theming, being all green and all that. Hang on. No, you... Okay, so it's just the size of the box. Now that's bugging me. Now I wanna... Oh, that's been like that the whole time, though. Oh, but I like that slightly better. Oh no. I'll figure that out later. Okay, so... I think this is all the passives I want. Hit points doesn't need a whole lot. I think 50 is fine. That's enough that it'll probably last a round or two. Do I? I don't think I want to give him Stacker. It's like, it's just an appendage. It's meant to go down pretty fast anyway. The base, like the roots, will have an actual thing. Speed dice, I think 3. I think having someone being able to go unopposed is fine. Speed, I think is fine. Light regen. I usually keep abnormalities with the same light regen as their base light. I think that works well. Sort of like shimmering, but not as crazy. Okay. Affinities. You don't have anything for those, which means we just have this. Let's just say +2 and leave it at that. It's not very heavily armored. It's the appendage. Now this is where things get interesting. So if we go over to Fey Lantern, enemy, it only has 1 attack on the fairy. That's not very interesting. But I think we can make this a bit better. Snapped lore. So we'll add, I think, 3 skills on this thing. Is fine. I don't want to design too many. Charmed. Speed. Oh. You were bold. How bold of thee. Cannot be intercepted. Yeah, sharpened lore. Is that not? Nope, it's not. Boom, boom, boom. Let's do +4, honestly, I think works. Hit. Both fairy and roots. Most people will be bringing at least 1 decent clasher for these big attacks, right? I mean, it is level 1, so some people might not. Oh well, if they didn't, that's just another challenge on them. Whatever. HP. Cool. Now let's do a weirder one. Let's call it Twinkle Twinkle. Yeah, this is definitely made to be an earlier one, especially since it's Teth 3. This probably isn't a good one to throw in, like, Mission 1, but probably Mission 2 or 3 would be where I'd throw this guy in. Yeah, something that manipulates what the charmed target uses. Die. Sorry, I need to sneeze. Excuse me. Yeah. So. Okay. And then let's have this one be slash only 6 plus 1. Check. Power plus 3 against evade dice. This way you can't run away. And then we will give it boom. Boom boom. Be a little mean. So this will be a good way to do some guaranteed damage, and let's turn that to 2 cost, because... like that. Any other effects I want to give it? Fey Lantern does have a little bit of bleed. Honestly, I'm not sure if I want to apply that here. It's already got a lot of gimmicks, and just stacking some bleed on top isn't gonna do much to make it more interesting. And let's give skill for it to try and find its next opponent, if that makes sense. Its next target, I should say. God, stupid mouse keeps deselecting things. Ugh. My mouse and keyboard are both messed up at the moment. So this one won't have a targeting charm on it, because this will be for use against people who are already out and about and ready to be snagged, if that makes sense. So let's make this one blind. Thorns. I kind of want to avoid using thorns on singular big enemies, because then how are you gonna do damage? That's why Ebony Queen's apple only has, like, conditionals, I think? How much does she have without that sort of... Yeah. Gains thorns equal to the number of enemies with enemy stem, and only on losing with block dice. So... her thorns are pretty limited, because thorns on one singular enemy can get very, problematic. But, anyway, back to Fey Lantern. Honestly, sinking, it does, while it doesn't use sinking in its actual fight, it does have sinking-related ego gifts, which is odd. In fact, most of its... like, 2 of its 3 ego gifts are sinking, I believe. Yep. So, that's weird. Sometimes abnormalities are weird with, what effects they're related to. Gain 30 thorns. Amazing. And thorns are reduced by 1 at every turn. That's a great gimmick. Wait 30 turns for the enemy to become available. Aleph level gluttony abnormality. Anyway. I want this one to be kind of back-led. And then hit, inflict, two, bind. We can grab the bind symbol from you, plop you there, and let's also... This is a rupture abnormality, so inflict 1 fragile. Just to be mean. Here we are. And then maybe one more. Nah, Snag Galore can be used against anyone. It doesn't need to be against the charm target. So I think we're good on that. Ability. End of the second scene. Field. Treat. Yeah, I don't think I really want to do Rupture. I'm usually taking that as Fragile, maybe Bleed, and then other, like, affinity-related effects. So, that's why I kind of... That's about 25% of the reason I include Thorns. The other 75% was just that seemed cool, and there were a lot of plant stuff. It's just kind of one I made up. But yeah. The end of the second scene is revealed. Retreat. Resummon. Not Q scene, one scene. Car-themed abnormalities? Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised there isn't one based on, like, automobiles. There is Highway Devotee, which is not itself car-themed, but is themed around roads that cars use. So maybe we'll see a car in his fight if we ever actually fight him. Highway Devotee, I have no idea what the fight would be, honestly. But it seems like a fun Abno. One of my favorite designs, honestly, in terms of things we haven't properly seen yet. Yeah, car adjacent. So, there's just time by one scene, yep, we've got all that. Honestly, is there anything else I want to give this guy? What are your... You're poised too? What? You, sir, are a weirdo. I think that's more status, like, affiliations than, Dream Devouring Silk Current. That's crazy. What the fuck? Okay. So, I think that's all you really need. Huh. We have to actually set your values, though. Oh yeah, Paper Chairman is also a great one. That's why I completely... That's part of why I completely made up his ego. Also, it was because it was early and I wanted to test some ideas. You can see... Oh, they're down here. And now they're up. Yeah. An ego that does not actually exist. And another ego that does exist, but that has not really been shown beyond ego gear. I do hope we get a sloshing and sticking, like, ego banner at some point. That'd be a nice filler. Anyway. With damage values, I think I want to do this. Because, like, this is like dried roots, right? So, I think having it be blunt weak is the better idea. And -1, -1. I'm gonna continue to use your Paper Chairman fight until we get the actual one, and then I'll probably remake it. I'm eventually gonna have to figure out a spot to put, like, all the legacy stuff. I have cropped out the sidebar. But eventually, a lot of stuff are gonna get remade, like the rabbits and the thumb members. Mostly, you know, those community contributions, so I'll have to figure out a spot to put those. But I don't think I'm gonna get rid of them completely. I think they'll still be around. Anyway, HP for you. Honestly, 80 should be good. Make you a bit more defensive-oriented, and we'll be... Yeah, honestly, should be hard to stagger, I feel like. And... I think... yeah, that works. Honestly, having all of its skills be one cost, I like that idea. Make them a sort of in between 1 and 2 cost skills, and then maybe an occasional counter down. This is going to be a lot more defensive as opposed to the very offensive fairy. That also means I don't have to create as many skills. I think just 3 would be good. Expanding boots. Okay. Oh my god, I just realized it has a lot of, like, attack weight. What the fuck? Yeah, ones I've made egos for are kind of the main priority, but sometimes I'll just do what I feel like. I have a vague idea of, like, what's a priority and stuff, but sometimes I will just get an idea and I'll make that idea. So, yeah. encroaching roots. Pierce. And just give this attack weight and be done with it, I think. That's the one. Attack weight 2. Yeah, I mostly want to avoid stuff we haven't actually seen. I'm fine with putting it in community contributions and such, but there's a lot of stuff we've already got, so I don't feel too much of a need to make stuff based on speculation. Of course, there are some things that I just can't help myself, like in the lore, I made stuff for A, B, and C Corp because I think it's going to be a while before I'm proven wrong. So just having some ideas for that was fun. I should probably... There's only a little more information, but I should probably add some stuff like H Corp and X Corp, since we have a little more on that. How would Fell Bullet work? The Abno, I don't think would be too hard of a idea. The Ego, I do actually have a very interesting idea for, but you're gonna have to wait until Faith and Firearms for that. Let me reload the page. Okay, looks like it's functioning now. Okay, so back to me. Encroaching roots. I could inflict a bind. Okay. Let me... think... I think I want you to be... You... Make this a block skill only? I can't tell if you guys can actually see the stream or not. I'd tell you to refresh, but it wouldn't hear you. You wouldn't hear me. Anyway. I'm just gonna hope that you've all refreshed by now, because it seems to be going on fine on my end now that I've done that. Okay. Let's grab... Boom. Boom. And... cut you out. Oh. I messed that up with you. Let me... Boop. Control C. And... Control V. There we go. Okay. That's fine. Um, let's see. What for the last one? I think just a big old multi-hit is fine, right? Let's do that. Ah, hate the stupid mouse. There are so many mice in my house, and yet none of them work. Yeah, yeah, Bacilla Soup was one of the ones from your recent batch I thought might, go in. The others were mostly ones that I had my own different ideas for. Let's see. No. Tingling lash. Like it's lashing out. No, I'm panicking. Oh, that's uncomfortable. Yeah, Alleyway Watchdog might use your version, might come up with my own, I'm not sure. I did actually stat out an early version of him, but I don't think I really like that version I did anymore. I statted it out for a test one-shot I was doing. But that was sort of designed as a dual encounter with the big old fish man, Headless Ichthus. So I'm not sure if I want to repurpose that version or make my own. I might partially take your version. See the early version? It's on actually Roll20. It was made before I made the actual enemy sheets. I might be able to show you it though. Add to counter die a fixed value. I think I like it being a little more unstable on this guy. He's not meant to be, like, super strong at this point, so... He's just kind of throwing shit at the wall and hoping he survives until he can get back up into fairy form. But yeah, I think this'll be nice. It's a strong form, but not, like, overwhelmingly so. Honestly, I think this is done. Right? Like... Yeah? There's not any, like, other gimmicks I think I'd want. Yeah. Yeah, so... I think we're gonna mostly call it there. My throat is not used to talking this long. I mostly only talk during D&D or during these streams, and I am out of cough drops. But, might as well show you a little bit more. I want to bring this up on my other window first. I might show you a little glance at what I've been working on the side. It's been a little light this week, but we're still... Where's my working dock? I don't think you'll be able to see anything I don't want you to see if I move this over to the other window, right? Yeah, because all the tabs are hidden. That's what I really care about. Oh, that is my YouTube. Where? Wait, what? Where did it go? Did I close it? Reopen close tab. There we go. Yeah, I closed it on accident. Okay, working dock. Make sure, yep. So, I don't actually have the art for this one set up, but we have today's expression. And also not any of the art for this. This is still very much in a work in progress. I want to add more to this, but not one, but two Jester of Nihil ego, and one of them is very gimmicky. That's not a placeholder cost. Neither of those are. So I think that's primarily it. I have some other stuff I'm chipping away at, but that is something for later. Yeah, design has been a little slow this week after getting into all the downtime stuff. But want to get back to it now that I've got a little more inspiration from like this stream and just some other events that have occurred recently that I am not at liberty to talk about just yet. But hopefully there'll be some updates in the coming weeks. But for now, let's translate this over into the main dock. Let's go Ego Library. Boom. We have it there. We have you. You are going to go with the generics. Because while you are District 20 exclusive, you are not necessarily a T-Corp dude. So I don't want to lump you with them. Speaking of, that was one of the ones I was hoping to get to tonight, but maybe I'll either do that on my own or do another design stream at some point, and we can get to some T-Corp soldiers. Boom. Oh, how did you... Oh. How did you get moved like that? You're supposed to be fixed position on page. What the hell? Alright, you look fine. And our little Teth abnormality. Boom. And okay, so yeah, the light region specifically is formatted a little weird, so every time I make a new dude, I have to move it over. Move it over. And shoot. And shoot. Roots. Yep, just drag it over. And since you guys helped me a lot with this one, My S key! That's all of you guys! Now I delete it. No. You know what? Back to the mushy stuff. I'm thanking you guys. I'm getting thanked. Do not resist. Okay. I think this is about it. So, hopefully, it's been a fun time. I've definitely noticed a lot more viewership than my LobCorp streams, which makes sense, since this is what you're actually here for. But hopefully we can do this again sometime, because this was fun, and definitely helped me get into doing a lot more work that I probably would have been a lot slower on otherwise. So, with that, I think we're gonna end it for the night. So, thank you all for being here, and I hope you all have a wonderful night. See ya!